Welcome, everyone, being at home with George during COVID. And I've been thinking a lot about the election. And so I wrote down some things that I'd like to read to you. I believe it's time to heal and to put away the sword and bring out the olive branch. The election is over for the most part. And whether you support the winner or not, I'm asking all of us to come together in this historic time to do the right thing. Make the next play, as I like to say. We need to heal as a nation. So how do we do that? By setting aside our tribalism and moving from ideology to humanity, by forgetting yourself to find yourself. So what do I mean by that? So there are some of us that are so hooked up on ideology that we lose the humanity. We lose this idea that we're talking about human beings, and that when you think about even thinking about the election being over, and you could see where there's already some people talking about how they're going to make sure that the new administration is not even going to do well. They're going to stop them at every chance they have in terms of the transition, not even giving them access to offices and stuff like that. And this tribalism just has to stop because it has an impact on all of us, especially during this time of COVID. And and cities are shutting down, states are shutting down, and we need to get a handle on this virus. And so getting out of the ideology, getting out of, okay, we have to stop the opposition from implementing their policies or even getting started, even denying the fact that they won the election. That's causing so much pain, and that is also going to cause tens of thousands more deaths. So we really have to really understand that how do we go from ideology to humanity? And the other thing is, like I like to say, let's make the next play. We need to figure out how are we going to get this virus under control, and that means letting people who want to deal with it, and if that means making calls to our Congress people and putting pressure on them to do the right thing, to let go of these ideologies and focus on humanity. It doesn't matter who's in power. What matters is that we do the right thing. We make the next play. We have to really think about the people who are suffering and helping those in need and alleviating the suffering that's happening with the coronavirus and keeping people safe, ensuring that the principles of our Constitution apply to all people. All people are created equally. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We all have to step up. Each individual has to be generous in their time from the left to the right. We have to find ways to compromise without violating our principles. So I'm asking you to do what it takes right now for our country and people everywhere. We're in this together. And so we need to have these conversations, even though we're talking to people that don't believe as we believe, and talk about the idea that we are all in this together, and we have to find ways to come together and do what's right for everyone, because no one is safe as long as this virus is out of control. And we know it's out of control because hospitalizations are going up, as well as infections and deaths. And if you really think about it, if we get up to 2,000 deaths a day, and we got 70 days before the inauguration, even if we don't start right away, the devastation, you're talking about a 250,000 people in 2 days being infected. We just have to put aside, this bickering and this fighting and do what's right. And the election's over, so know the truth and the truth shall set you free. And then say, okay, so we're going to put all of the tribalism aside and make things work for everybody to heal the whole nation. And it's interesting because I can hear people saying, well, George, you're naive. And, people don't do that. They're not interested in that. Well, if it's about we the people, then we the people have to figure out how to put pressure on them to do the right thing. So if they're going to bend the pressure of a certain group of people, and they are feeling pressure because a group of people are telling them they have to do things, even though they're doing things they don't want to do, then we have to figure out how to support them to do the right thing, and to encourage them, not necessarily pressure them, but it may feel like pressure, to just do the right thing. So there's too many silent people that are sitting back and allowing things to happen because they're afraid or afraid of a tweet or whatever. But at some point, we have to step up, as I said, and just say, hey, it's nothing personal. We need to get control of this virus. We need to do what's right. We need to get people back to work. We need to be able to open up the government, open up the economy, and we're not going to be able to do that unless we understand how to do that, how to get control of the virus, and then to start to do all of the things that we need to do, the social distancing, and people have to understand. And it's unfortunate that it's taken months for the CDC to put out the information that the mask not only prevents me from infecting other people, it also helps me from being infected. So this mask wearing and social distancing, and you can see all these cities and states shutting down over in Europe, they're doing the same thing. So we need to generate the hope. And part of generating the hope is doing things that's going to make things better. It means doing the right things. We know what we need to do. We need to find the will to do it. And we just have to set self aside, as I like to say, forget yourself to find yourself. So it's about service. It's about how do we transform our thinking and our ways of seeing things, and how do we create more unity. And we can do that through serving each other, through being of service and getting out of ourselves and helping others. And that's how we find ourselves. And so to me, this is really, really a critical time. It's not about politics. It's about having a policy that is life sustaining. It's saying yes to life and no to the opposite of that, and not to be so hung up on trying to seek power to the point where power is corrupting us and preventing us from seeing that this is not a time to say, okay, I'm not going to let them succeed, because by stopping them, even before we get to inauguration day, there's already so much resistance to having somebody who wants to go in and do what's right and do what's best for we the people. Imagine what's going to happen after that. So we have to be really vigilant about confronting the politicians and telling them to do the right thing, and having conversations with our neighbors that maybe don't agree with us, or even family members that vote differently, that we have to come together and say, hey, this is not politics. This is about humanity. This is about how do we get a handle on this, get a grip on this disease, this pandemic, because it's killing the economy, it's killing us. It's devastating, and it's going to get worse as the weather gets colder. So we need to nip it in the bud. And so to me, that's what it's all about, is how do we generate hope? Well, we can hope, but we also have to step up and do things. We have to have conversations that are harmonious, healing, putting away the sword, bringing out the olive branch and say, okay, now that it's over, let's get together, come together and do what's right. And people that don't do that, then they're telling us they're not for the people, and we need to be able to understand that when the election comes around. Unfortunately, these folks have not been doing the right thing, and a lot of folks got reelected not doing the right thing. And so we need to encourage them that we put them in power, we can take them out of power.